Hi, hello to everybody from RAI International. We are in the United Nations Office of Partnership with Mr. Roland Rich. Welcome.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Rich, thank you so much for let us to have this opportunity. Let's start with a very basic question. What is exactly the United Nations Office of Partnership and why is so important?
Okay, well, the United Nations has traditionally been an organization of member states, and it remains fundamentally an organization of member states. But the reality is that there are many other actors in the world beyond member states of the UN. We have lots of international non-government organizations and civil society organizations, many philanthropic organizations, many corporations and profit-making businesses that all want to contribute to the work of the UN. And the UN Office for Partnerships is one of the gateways that allows them to come into the UN and work with the UN on various issues.
What are the first priorities in terms of objectives and structure?
Well, the UN has set for us an important set of priorities, and they are the Millennium Development Goals. In fact, I think this week we begin the 1,000-day countdown to the end of the Millennium Development Goals. And we are in trying to inspire all the actors out there working on these issues to try to redouble their efforts so that we meet our targets for the Millennium Development Goals. And parallel to that, we are discussing the Sustainable Development Goals that will continue the work of the MDGs in the future. So they're the key issues that we're looking at the UN.
And in your point of view, which is, if there is, the most ambitious word in philanthropy?
The most ambitious
word? Yes.
Yeah, well, philanthropy itself is an important word, a very American concept.
Yes.
The Europeans pay higher taxes and they expect their governments to do a lot of this work. Americans hate taxes and they expect their wealthy people to do this through charity or philanthropy, and we need to work in both concepts and with both contexts. Look, in this century, at a certain point in the last decade, Bill Gates's foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, started spending more per annum on world health than the World Health Organization.
It's impressive, this.
So that's telling us the world is changing.
Yes.
That we need to factor in the reality that there are some major philanthropists who want to help solve the world's problems and want to put their money forward. So Bill Gates is one of many philanthropists who have signed the Giving Pledge, whereby they pledge to give more than half their wealth away. Another such philanthropist is Ted Turner, who created CNN,
Yes.
and Ted created the UN Foundation. And the UN Foundation works very closely with the United Nations on a whole range of these UN causes like the MDGs, and this office is the counterpart at the UN for the UN Foundation.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. How did you choose the partnerships day by day? Which way?
Yeah.
How do you look?
Look, there's no science, there's no algorithm, there's no formula here. What we have to begin with are what are our goals. Our goals are about women and children's health. Our goals are about peace and development. Our goals are about human rights and democratization. They are our goals. They don't change. So we focus on these goals. Yes. And then we ask the philanthropic and corporate and civil society world to work with us on these goals. Now, I think the key to answer your question is, our key role is to set the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of delivery, we don't want to be the organisation that tries to, put all the pieces together
Mm-hmm.
to try to create a Swiss watch out of all this. We think that's not possible. What we need to do is set the goals, bring people together, and then let them talk to each other and work out what the best next steps are. And a lot of these decisions about who does what actually must take place in the field, not at headquarters. It's much more logical to decentralise these decisions and let people in the field work out what is the best way of proceeding.
Can you make us an example of one of your latest goals about one project, for example, a great goal you achieved?
Well,
you are.
I'll give you a very simple but very telling example from a couple of years ago, where the UN role was again to set the objective, to bring people together, to facilitate the delivery of this. But the UN appointed Bill Clinton as its special representative in Haiti, and Bill Clinton met Mukhtar Kent, who is the head of Coca-Cola, and Bill Clinton said to Mr. Kent, please help us do something for Haiti. Anyway, to cut a long story short, within about 3 months of that conversation, through the UN, we got the Haitian government on board, we got civil society to organise the farmers. Coca-Cola took nearly the whole of the Haiti mango crop, which was only used for domestic consumption, and most of which had to be thrown away, and made a commercial drink out of it, Haiti Hope, which you can buy in the shop, and provided an income for the Haiti farmers through this. So, this is just an example where we need to use the dynamism of the private sector to help the people that we are required to help.
Very clever choices. You have an extremely transversal CV. I noticed that one of the most interesting things you did, in my point of view, has been at the Australian Defence College, teaching and mentoring colonel level officers. Which has been the most interesting skill you saw in one of your ex-students you were mentoring that impressed you a lot?
Well, once you become colonel level in the military, Air Force or Navy or Army, it means that you have achieved a lot. And that you have a whole range of skills, whether they're in logistics or transport or war fighting or whatever, and usually it's a mix of these things. So, and the Defence College has about half the participants are Australian and the other half are international. So it was a very nice range. Now, what our role was to prepare them for promotion to star rank, that is general, brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general, etc. And here's the difference. Once you have a star, your job changes. It's no longer doing the expert things you were doing before. Now you have to understand a much broader political framework. Now you have to work with governments, with ministers, with the UN, with lots of other actors. And this staff college course was to prepare them for that process of broadening their horizons, stop seeing the world in black and white because most of it is grey, and understanding the different shades of grey.
What did you want to become when you were younger?
Like all boys, I wanted to become the centre forward on the soccer team.
Okay. Like all the girls, the ballerina.
But it didn't take long before I realised that maybe I didn't have enough talent for that particular, and that taught me that I better study hard. I studied and worked as a lawyer for a couple of years, but I was very attracted to the Foreign Service and enjoyed my